It's robot talking time.
Woohoo!
I'm Lucas.
I'm Keegan.
And we're here to discuss the Season 7, Episode 5, and upcoming Episode 6 matchups.
Yeah.
So we had a pretty interesting last week.
It was harsh. It was very hard to watch.
Yeah, and we've got some amazing matchups coming up down the
Next
tube.
week looks amazing. This week looks amazing.
Yeah, it really does. But either way, we'll get right into it here. We're just going to go over the previous matches, and then we'll hop into upcoming.
All right. Start out with Bite Force.
So thank God, okay, out of everything that happened, all right, Bite Force pulled through. And, geez, if you're the ringmaster, I mean, not so much the team, but the bot, I feel like 10 seconds in, you're just kind of like whelping, kind of like, they come at each other. Bite Force slams the ringmaster into the corner with his vertical spinner, then gets slammed off the pulverizer, and they just play past. I mean, it's like Bite Force is like this godlike cat playing with its prey, and then
I thought ringmaster might do a little better, but I wasn't very impressed with it.
Yeah,
it was against the reigning champ, though. So.
Yeah, it was too bad. It was a bad matchup for Ringmaster, all in all. Yeah. So, like we all know, the god himself took that match, but it was pretty interesting that pretty much about 20 seconds after that, or I guess I should say anything but interesting, it was just them pushing each other around. So.
Just a strong arm fight, like, world... WWE.
But I mean, even then, if Bite Force is good in anything, it's good at being pushy. I mean, it just kind of...
it's what it does, really. It's half its strategy besides grappling, really.
Yeah. So, anyways...
Not much more to say about that.
Yeah, there wasn't much more to say about
that. Glad they won. We like Bite Force.
Beta versus Overhaul.
I'm so glad this wasn't a highlight.
Yeah. Beta got a ton of good hits. I mean, it was just really fun to watch.
That was a great match for Beta.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Not
it was
for
amazing.
Overhaul.
I mean, it was a great match just as a viewer in general. That was a great match. I mean,
loved it.
Beta's got that. It's a fantastic hammer. It goes the whole 9 feet in like 0.2 seconds, but it's got that little metal bit.
Well, 0.5, but whatever.
Okay, yeah, but it's got that little metal bit that kind of at the very end of the hammer that gives that extra punch. And I mean, you can tell.
Right.
You can really tell.
I think I was really excited for that fight, mostly because watching Beta is like watching a mobile pulverizer, all caps, pulverizer. Boom.
Yeah.
And I think that Beta was perfect in that match, A+.
Yeah, well,
it got knocked over sometimes. I think it got caught once, but it's a good bot. I'm glad it took 14 years, but I'm glad this guy finally got into this competition.
Yeah, seeing his face after that win, that was fantastic.
Man.
That was really fantastic.
I felt so happy for him, and I didn't even know him.
Well, and I mean, okay, so we did get some mention last week for talking about Overhaul a little aggressively, but we stick by our stance. I mean, more or less.
Yeah. We're sorry if anyone got offended, but at the same time, I'm super glad they lost.
Yeah. So, because Beta is just so awesome too. So that's who I wanted to advance through that, and that was really cool. It was interesting though because Overhaul did get to show some of its good mechanisms there. They just didn't fully develop like you'd want them to. So at one point, Overhaul actually snatches onto Beta and slams him into the screws. I mean, talk about some good acceleration there. That was really cool. But then they try to kind of continue that grapple, and Beta's front plating there, the plastic plating, just kind of flexes out of the way, and they're out of the grapple.
Yeah, I think Beta might have gotten a little worse than that if they managed to get him into an environmental hazard a little better.
Yeah. And after that, it was just Beta just. Yeah, I mean,
tons of hits.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Great stuff.
And then at the end, when you got Overhaul over in the corner and you hit in the back and you can't even move and you're just.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I think this is just a great example of what happens when you have too many cat puns.
Agreed.
You push the cat puns too hard, Overhaul. Do better next year.
Okay, so let's talk about Hypershock versus Warrior Clan. To me, I don't even know. It's like the rake is awesome. That's so cool. It is such an efficient tool to fix a problem that doesn't exist.
It really doesn't exist. I'm pretty sure almost every drone has ran into a wall or gotten messed up by a draft from a spinner or something.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
And the rake is it's pretty hilarious. But
oh man. Well, you see them come. You see,
it's
you know.
an elegant solution
Yeah.
to a non-existent problem.
You know, you see the drone kind of coming down, and it kind of comes into engagement range, if you call it that. And it says, you know, we're gonna prove that drones can be useful. And
Yeah,
then
we got
and Hypershock's like, no, thank you. And then
Not today.
The drum spinner.
It's like that commercial.
No, not today. Yeah, that was.
It's funny because I remember him bringing out the rake, and I thought it was a joke.
Oh, I believed in it. I was a believer.
Really, a rake?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it doesn't add that much more weight in all honesty.
I think it's interesting that Hypershock is so modifiable. It just has a slot where you can put something on there.
Good planning. You know, trying to keep
If you
yourself.
put a rake on there, you could put a lot of things on there as long as they're not going to mess up the overall balance of weight of the bot.
Sure. Yeah, and that was definitely a concern, at least when we saw that coming into it. I mean, we know it's a heavy bot, but you never know when you get components that tall.
Yeah.
But overall,
Luckily,
this
the drones
fight was
are so
just
light too.
This is what I thought BattleBots was all about.
Yeah.
I mean, right from the start, you have two bots coming out swinging. They're completely aggressive. I mean, they are just chasing each other around 100%. At no time until the very end is one bot trying to keep its distance or get the other. And it was props to Warrior Clan because their plan is to be the lowest to the ground, and Hypershock
they
couldn't
did that
get
really
them.
well. Well, I think they got it and got him pretty good a few times.
No,
Warrior Clan got torn up.
Yeah, but that was by the spinner.
Big time.
They didn't actually, get the wedge under them and lift them up.
I guess Warrior Clan kind of won the quote-unquote wedge fight. But
Yeah.
it wasn't enough.
Well, it was just both those bots set out to do what they wanted to do, and it turned out in Hypershock's favor. But it was really cool to see two bots, at optimum capacity, if you will, and seeing that fight turn out like it did. Really cool.
I think part of it might have been that Warrior Clan had to get rid of those other two bots.
Mini bots. No mini bots.
No,
Yeah.
none of those wedge bots.
I think there's
to sacrifice for the drone that got crushed.
Yeah.
Which might have contributed to a deficit in strategy.
Yeah.
After that, because I don't think Warrior Clan's main bot got many hits per se.
No, well, I mean, there was one point where it was pretty aggressive back and forth, but I mean, quoting the narrator there, Warrior Clan got opened like a can of tuna, and you could see because it's got that bend in the top. And for types of damage on those types of spinner bots, you don't usually see it get like.
No, it's
Yeah.
that bot got destroyed in some parts.
Yeah.
And I wanted Warrior Clan to win, kind of, because they're number one above Hypershock in my bracket by one single point.
Oh.
So frustrating.
I can imagine.
I was happy when Hypershock won, though, because I thought they were going to. It seemed like they would. Let's see. I don't know how far they'll get in the tournament. I think they're a good bot, though. They're up against Poison Arrow, I believe, next time.
I think they could make it one seed further before, and then I'd really have to see who they're going against.
Yeah,
but I think they have a good bot there. I really
especially
do.
with next week. So we'll see
I
what
know.
comes out of next week.
Okay, let's talk about Cobalt versus Bombshell. Talk about good planning. Right. I mean, last week we definitely kind of dropped the ball. We were talking about Bombshell a lot. We completely blanked on it being
did not
modular.
know it had so many.
Yeah, well, I mean, and so, kind of interesting though. I guess I don't know about you, but I haven't seen a lot of bots that hang a spinner in front of them like that. That was a cool design.
Anything.
Yeah, usually it's pinched between them, or it's kind of.
I guess you could say Tombstone does it, but it's not really hanging. It's out there, but it's not hanging.
Yeah. I mean, even Tombstone's got support on both sides.
If what you mean is a spinner away from the main shell of the bot, the engines and everything, then Tombstone is similar. But if you mean just hanging, then no, it's different. Definitely different.
And really smart on Bombshells.
I mean,
with actually being able to measure out how high that spinner is and putting it right at Cobalt's tires. I mean.
Yeah, you could say. I think some people were thinking that was kind of like a dirty move, but I don't see it at all.
I don't think so. I think that's in the spirit of BattleBots. Yeah, I think you play the territory you got.
I don't understand why they didn't put some sort of cover over that, because that's a huge weak point.
Well, I mean, at some point you got to leave it exposed to hit the ground, though, right? And that's a strategy that a lot of bots use.
It didn't look. Do you think Cobalt could have been turned over and still work?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so. But that in general, I mean, you saw the Ringmaster doing that. I believe Captain Shredderator does that. You know, they've got the barely exposed tires that are from the side exposed or protected.
Right.
But you know, so being able to thread that needle right there and chew them up.
Very elegant win right there.
Yeah, well, and
Very
so
cool.
I don't know who Bombshell's going up against next time, but that.
Oh, I do. Yeah, we know that one.
Do you know?
It's in the next week.
Oh, yeah. Of course. Well, what am I saying? Well, either way,
Yeah.
in the long run, I think that's just a really interesting strategy.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I was going to say we'll talk about that later. It's just a very interesting strategy because that can be so useful against so many different matchups.
Yeah, it's definitely a functionality I don't see in a lot of bots to be able to adjust the height and the angle
and keeping it away from your main body so you can
it's
taunt
cool.
them from
It's kind of it's like the little kid being held back by the big kid by the head, like, running at him, but he's being held back.
So things got a little dark after this.
Oh.
You know, yeah.
Execute Order 66.
Montage of the dying boss.
Oh my God, this was awful. This was,
and just made it so much worse by the fight before it with.
I know.
We'll talk about it, but it's still
it's hard because
very bitter.
I think I lost every single bet after this, okay? And the only ones that I won, I really didn't want to. I just didn't. I've got the bots I like, and I want them to go forward. And this was heartbreaking. I mean, we'll go one by one here, but geez, talk about some. We could not have been more wrong last week in a lot of those. And I didn't think we made any big leaps either. I thought we kind of guessed it, kind of how it was. But anyways, let's get into it here.
Right. Brutus versus Lockjaw.
Brutus versus Lockjaw. Stocks are down. Stocks are down right now. I mean,
Brutus.
So I want to ask you a question here, okay?
I love that. I love that bot.
That entire fight, you have Brutus and Lockjaw trying to maneuver around each other, or more specifically, I should say Brutus trying to maneuver around Lockjaw's, tough behind.
Yeah, it's another one of those WWE fights where they're like.
But something that you would see a lot is you would see Brutus kind of spin around 2 or 3 times real quick and then come back to it. Yeah. And I from what I can understand, that's kind of just novice, inexperienced piloting there, kind of letting the momentum in your spinner take the best of you and spin you out. Mm-hmm. So kind of in seeing that, and then I didn't see Brutus. I mean, Brutus obviously had the most potential for damage in that primary weapon.
Yeah,
coming into
especially
it. And they did not deliver.
I think it helped that Lockjaw had that wedge that was a lot of metal.
Of course, yeah.
It was just like a giant shield.
And they did that on purpose, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, Brutus had a chance to, and I guess in the end, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is I don't agree with the judges here. Okay, I think and I want to ask you the question is, do you think that kind of clamps and grapple bots get discriminated against sometimes? Because even at the very end of the match, you see Lockjaw grab onto Brutus. And I believe, if I remember correctly, Brutus is smoking up a little bit, too.
Yeah. I think it might be something to do with the rules with the spinners, but versus how you get points as a grapple bot.
Okay, but at the same
really
time, I think Lockjaw set the tone for that match. And I really thought they deserved that one. Just really interesting. I almost feel like there should be more responsibility. If you bring a weapon of mass destruction into the arena, you should have a responsibility to make sure that's delivered. And I almost feel like, I don't know.
I guess you could say Brutus got hits, but Lockjaw took him at the same time. It's kind of tough to tell.
I mean, you could see Brutus kind of come in from the side a few times to try to get in there, but even then, they Lockjaw made sure their metal plating was kind of shaped just right, that they'd get stuck over the plating, and they just couldn't get a good hit in.
Yeah,
I didn't see one.
The problem was, what did Lockjaw get? They didn't get any good hits either.
Yeah, and that was the thing. Was at some point
Lockjaw got hits, they just weren't good ones.
I think what Lockjaw wanted to do is they wanted to see if they could break the momentum or even the mechanism behind that spinner and then turn around and grapple them.
That would have been huge.
But I mean, at some point they've got to kind of sack up just like they did with Yeti and kind of go in and just grab it.
Yeah, push it around.
And it's too bad that didn't happen. I
don't even want to bring up that fight.
Yeah.
That one hurts me inside.
Either way, Lockjaw had a rough season this time, and I think they delivered and did exactly what they wanted to. I just think the cards were against them, and that's too bad.
It is too bad. You know how I feel about Lockjaw, but
Yeah.
I've reiterated it almost every time we talked about BattleBots. But yeah, I mean, it's not like it's a very good matchup for the next team anyway.
Oh, before we move on, I just got to point this out. Okay. Some of these intros, okay, most of them were like, haha, funny. But sometimes it's just like, you got to say, like, really? Did ABC make that? Did the team? I want to read you this one. Okay, so this was, and I love Lockjaw, but this was just a little too far. Okay.
Hit me.
Hey, kids, do you like lollipops? You get one free with your tetanus shot. Don't worry, it'll only hurt forever.
All right.
And you're just kind of sitting there like, neat,
Yikes.
cool. Yeah, like, and you can see the narrator, like, or the announcer, he's trying to make it as cool as possible, but you're like,
That seems really vague and nothing to do with Lockjaw.
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, no, I mean, I get what they're going. Anyways,
Maybe. I guess.
It
It kind of had the wedge though, so it didn't have the teeth. Which
Sure.
I didn't get it.
Okay. We're gonna take a moment of silence here for Stinger before we get into this.
All right.
So let's do 10 seconds here.
10 seconds.
In the arms of the angel, fly away from here.
Okay, I hope I'm good at counting.
That seems about right.
Yeah, that seemed about right. We have Stinger versus Mega Tento. Yeah, thumbs down. The judges are just wrong on this one.
Yeah.
You're just not correct. Where is Adam Savage when you need him?
Seriously.
Like, I don't.
I was no idea. I have no idea how that went the way it did, because I don't think I think the damage against Stinger was just the wheel.
Well, okay, and so this is interesting, and none of our discussion here is against Mega Tento, okay? Because
some of it is.
Okay, but it's not like they did anything dirty or wrong.
No.
We just didn't like where the judges went with this one, okay? And so it's interesting because Stinger comes in there with 6 wheels, so they can afford to lose some, and they do that on purpose, okay? And so yes, they do lose 2 wheels, but they're still completely functional and more so.
I thought they only lost 1.
I believe they lost 2. But either way,
worked.
Either way, they're still doing perfectly fine. They're in it, and they're aggressive as ever. And that damage gets knocked against them, and I agree with that to some extent. But at the same time,
Think about the constant flamethrower being from 2 sides at some points.
Yeah.
With that awesome mini
Fire ant is what I'm calling
fire
it.
ant.
Yeah.
Fire ant. The fire ant's moving around, biting all the ankles of Mega Tento.
Yeah.
It was just the insect battle names are so funny. But it was a great fight for Stinger, I thought, and it rammed Mega Tento against the wall so many times.
Yeah, and it almost ejects it out of the arena, but the plastic part folds up there. Or at one point you got Fire Ant just completely flaming the inside of Mega Tento. But again, flames are inconsistent at best.
How can you? I feel like flames, if they're doing any damage, it should count for points. I don't know how do they do flames.
I mean, I think that comes down to the judge. Obviously, there's some aggression there, but at the same time, traditionally, it's really just been for showmanship. So I think that in itself is kind of being experimented with right now.
I guess.
Well, so just something interesting that kind of stuck out to me about Mega Tento, though, is so they have that spinner, okay, but why wouldn't you put that inside?
I think it used to be inside, didn't it?
I don't know, or even if you had it on both sides, why wouldn't you just commit to all the way inside there? Because if you're really trying to get someone, you want to be able to.
Gotcha.
I like the one strategy. If you're the grapple then hurt kind of thing. You know?
I don't really get the whole trap them and just.
Yeah. So, which apparently the judges do. Please, judges, if you want to fill us in, we'd love to hear.
It's like being Kirby. Jumping off the edge.
It is.
Except there's no edge, and you're kind of just running around.
And you DK, and you just run off the.
DK.
That's how this match felt. It really did, and that was a bummer. I regret everything.
Only one person in our entire fantasy league had that guy winning in that fight.
Yeah, and he wasn't even there to watch it that night. He was doing something else. I texted him. I was like, "Hey man, you actually won this," and he was like, "No." I mean, because after the whole
my God.
fight, I actually looked down at my notes and I just because I like to scribble sometimes with this stuff, and I start scribbling. Stinger won. This is what happened, and then the judges come up and they go, "Mega Tento," and I'm a little salty about this one.
Yeah, I couldn't frown for the rest of the. I frowned for the rest of the episode. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's brutal. Order 66. You bitch.
Ice Wave versus Nightmare. First of all, why was this a highlight? That was cool. Okay, I thought that was
I
two
liked it.
really aggressive bots. There was a lot of damage dealt
Two
there.
saws essentially.
Yeah, I mean,
The spinner's not a saw, but
it was. Well, I get what you mean.
yeah.
And what was really interesting is it went down exactly like we called it too for the for the first part at least. You know,
Yeah.
they fly in, they get their hits on each other. Nightmare's outside exposed parts get torn apart.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but then
yeah.
Ice Wave will lose its mobility, and it was really interesting because especially after that last hit, which caused it to lose its mobility, you can tell that.
I think the fight lost momentum too.
Yeah, okay, fair, but you can tell after that last hit, Nightmare is like stuttering to like get back in it. One more, if Ice Wave could have just done one more hit, I feel like they could have had that.
Yeah. It's just shame. I like Ice Wave a lot.
I like both of them. But I was kind of rooting for the Ice Wave on that one.
I think we both had him up there in
definitely.
our brackets, obviously.
So
Ice Wave was a great bot.
You just gotta love.
Just like Minotaur.
Yeah, same.
The jet plane noises.
Although they are kind of different noises, but yeah, still.
Yeah.
Geez, I don't know what else to say about that. This was a fun matchup, but it's too bad that it didn't get more prime
Shame
time,
on
and it's too
BattleBots
bad that
doing
Ice
that.
Wave got broken down when it did. But props to Nightmare, you went out there and you did it. So
Yeah.
on to the next round.
We'll see how that goes.
Okay,
Who's that?
Chomp versus Captain Shredderator.
Chomp. Chomp. I knew it.
Chomp is like this.
You were so wrong.
I know I was so wrong, and I don't even want to admit it, but I am.
No,
I
when you
am.
said it, you're wrong.
Yeah. I just feel like Chomp is kind of like this weird, overly complicated teenager with like all this stuff going on that's somehow really good at sports and
Yeah,
just draws a
just
crowd.
like me. You know, I wasn't good at sports though.
I don't know. I mean, this was kind of a more kind of delicate, showdown dance at the beginning. They're kind of trying to make sure, Chomp wants to make sure that Captain Shredderator is in the right area. Captain Shredderator is trying to come in at just the right angle if they can.
I think Captain Shredderator was very aggressive,
Yes.
and I think both bots were very aggressive. It's just easier, I think, for Captain Shredderator to get hits, which
Sure.
might have gone badly for Chomp, but Chomp managed to get some very good hits.
When did Chomp learn CPR? That's
That's what he does on all the bots.
Yeah. I mean, first of all,
Call it.
Captain Shredderator, I hate to call you guys out, but when I saw how thin that top metal was, you got to be prepared for that. Chomp is not the only bot coming out
The
of Compton
shower
with
scene
the
psycho
Chomp thing.
stab.
Yeah. I mean, you got Beta, who's a very famous one, do the same thing. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It was
yeah.
awesome. Fantastic.
But either way, I thought they were still great bots and a great fight. But Chomp exploited the weakness, doing
Chomp's
exactly
got-
what it set out to
Yeah.
do. I didn't see very much flame at all, though, which is a little interesting because Chomp usually tries to pull that in. But Chomp came down, smashed through a portion of that Captain Shredderator armor, and
Yeah.
yeah,
It really came down. Sorry.
that's okay.
Pizza burps. It came down to kind of like an endurance match,
it did.
a part of the match,
Yeah.
because Chomp has really good armor, and that really helped it out in this fight, I think. I don't think Captain Shredder did any lasting damage to it.
Okay, so I just don't know about if I agree with you with Chomp's armor. I guess I do, but I also don't. Like, okay, so I don't know how to better describe this, but Chomp is the only bot I can think of that's got like wobbly bits. You know, when its hammer slams down and you see the
mean the
arms
things on the
kind of.
Do you mean the things on the side?
No, the two arms for the hammer Chomp bit itself. I mean, you can see them flex, and maybe that gives them an advantage. I don't know.
It's a lot of force.
But I mean, they have a lot of surface area they're trying to cover, and kind of what I would imagine is the
I don't
same thing
think
happening to
there's-
complete control. You got to make it thinner for that.
With that kind of strategy, I don't think they're as powerful as, say, Beta, but they're definitely a really strong contender. They're doing pretty well.
They're fun. I'll at least throw them that. They're fun.
You're still on the anti-chomp train.
Well,
Get
I
off
love
the
the team.
train.
I love the team.
Next stop.
They're fun. They get into it. They're interactive with their fans and that. But
Yeah, I'm really happy for the team as a whole.
call me old fashioned, but there's some bots you look at them like say Tombstone. You look at Tombstone, you say we will see that at least in the quarterfinals.
Oh yeah.
Right, and then there's these other bots where no
Well,
offense,
maybe.
but Chomp, and you look at them and you say, okay, like
That's how I
right.
felt about Disco Inferno.
yeah.
But-
And so I guess I just like the ones that you solidly look at them and you say that is a winner, you know. And,
Yeah.
and sure, they might not make it to the final, but they
Like
have
Red
a
Devil,
hard
Bite
chance.
Force.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways,
I'm happy Chomp won. I think they did really well.
I liked it. I mean, I'm glad Chomp
Keep it
won
going.
too. But
Keep it going.
yeah,
Don't beat anyone above them in my bracket, hopefully,
we'll see.
because I'm in dire straits.
Well, I was so stupid. I put Nightmare so far down. I don't know.
So did
I
I.
was so. Anyways, well,
Oh, well.
let's go on to the next one. Actually, that's
On
it.
to
That's
the
it for our
next one.
predictions or our
Recap.
breakdown. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty
It
quick
was
this
a
week.
sad episode.
Yeah, it's just so hard to come in here and talk about all this stuff when you're still grieving. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Stinger.
But anyways,
Love Team Stinger. They're awesome.
we have some
Too bad.
upcoming matches, and I think that some of these are really straightforward, and some of them are really hard to guess.
Yeah. Actually, this is going to be a very good episode.
This
I'm
is going to
excited.
be. I'm very excited for this episode.
I'm sweating from excitement.
I'm sweating from other things, but
Knees weak, mom spaghetti.
Bronco versus Razorback.
Ooh, I'm
Are-
easily
are-
calling this one.
Yeah, we're all for Bronco here.
Oh
right?
yeah.
Do you have anything you want to say?
I think it's a bad matchup. I think Razorback really destroyed Ghost Raptor in the
Sure.
last time it had a fight. But I don't know if it'll go very well with Bronco. It's a different kind of bot. It can self-right. We've seen it before. It's kind of chaotic. But
You know what? How I envision this kind of like if this was a
both
real
these bots
situation.
can operate if they've been knocked over.
Yes,
But
Yep.
I think that Bronco has more power at knocking over, and it'll probably damage Razorback while it's doing that.
I kind of see this kind of like when you're fighting like a 6-year-old and you like go to say something and you're like, hey, so what do you think about this argument? And they go, I know you are, but what am I? And you're like, well, I know you are, but what, like, because you just can't escape the Bronco foot. You know what I
No,
mean?
it's-
You're like, well, why don't I try boom? You know, well, why don't I try boom? You know, like,
Yeah, it's the best flip in the biz.
it's fast, it's strong.
Kills it.
Yeah.
Bronco all the way.
And we also haven't gotten a good view of Bronco yet this season.
No, we had one fight, I think.
But nothing that we
No,
would-
two.
But
But one of them, they kind of just rammed Chrome Fly. And
yeah, I mean, I'm talking. I mean, I guess you could qualify it as good, but I'm looking for one of those juicy 2.5 minute.
Yeah.
You know.
like Tombstone versus Bronco.
Yeah.
That was a fight.
That was a fight. A fight for the ages.
That was by definition a fight. But it was also great.
Anyways, I don't have much more to say about
Yeah,
this because
Bronco.
it's bland, it's vanilla, and
Bronco
I think
boys.
it's cut. I mean, this is how it's going to be in my opinion.
Yeah.
But,
Calling this one for the Bronco boys.
Yeah, and I like Bronco too, so I'm
I love
I'm
Bronco.
satisfied that this is about to happen.
Yeah. It's going to mess up that can opener.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, next up we have Tombstone versus
Yes.
Brutus.
Yes.
And this is
Yes.
again, I think this is
so excited about this one.
this is gonna be fun.
I'm worried about it a little bit.
Really,
Yes, because I obviously want Tombstone to win. Tombstone is the shit. The Undertaker, Ray
I
Killings.
love Ray Killings. Yeah,
Ray
oh,
Killings,
man.
unstoppable. But is he? Brutus has a really, really strong spinner. And those have done well against Tombstone in the past.
Man, I just
Do you remember Witch
I,
Doctor last year? Managed
Okay.
to knock him around a bit.
Okay, well,
Of course,
Brutus can't even knock around a bot that's not attacking it back. How is it gonna attack?
well, that's
knock
not
around?
true. Well,
We
I
just
think-
saw this last time. I mean, I think it is true.
But that's a completely different matchup. Against a wedge and a solid
Alright.
metal one, it's
Here's,
like a wall.
here's what I say, and this is nothing against Brutus, but this is just how it is, okay? Brutus, they got by when Mobius broke down. Then they
Yeah.
got by on a questionable at best judge's decision. Okay, and now they're here and they're about to fight Tombstone.
Something lockjaw.
Yeah, and so you don't sort of get by with Tombstone. You either win or you fucking die, and that's
yeah.
it. So I think that's how it's gonna go. I mean,
I think it's gonna be interesting. I'm excited for this fight. I think that it's gonna be a vicious fight, no matter how it goes. I don't think that they're not gonna use the guns. The guns aren't gonna be used against Tombstone because that's a distraction.
Towards more armor.
They got to do something because Tombstone can tear up bots, as we know. It's vicious, absolutely the destructor, the Robo Tyrannosaurus Rex of battle bots.
Yep.
And if Brutus. If Brutus doesn't completely up its game somehow, or get a good hit against that spinner with its vertical spinner, then it's gonna be brutal.
Well, and furthermore, I know
Fight with
Tombstone's tires are exposed as well. I get it, but Brutus's tires are also exposed.
Yeah.
And Tombstone's got a lot more reach with that.
Yeah, it's like a giant fan.
And again, to the piloting, Tombstone has got a solid. It knows how to.
It's an extremely
the
maneuverable
bot
spinner.
and Ray Killings know how to handle their momentum and anything they need to well.
We've seen plenty of fights where Tombstone's just chasing people around.
Yeah, exactly.
And doing it very well.
But I
So-
don't think Brutus really can do that to the same level. It almost seemed to struggle a little bit when it got really too much movement out there with Lockjaw.
Yeah, what I'm saying right now is one of the few times I'm not being biased against Brutus, but I think that they have slim pickings of a chance here. Just because it's Tombstone. It's a tough fight.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Let's
I
go
want
Tombstone.
Tombstone to win. Ray Killings, baby.
I want to see Tombstone versus
You
Bronco
want more?
again.
You want more? Another one. You want more?
Give us another one. Give us another one. Yeah. Anyways.
I respect you. I appreciate you, Tombstone. Okay,
Well,
what's up?
let's talk about Minotaur versus War. Which train are you on right
fantastic
here?
Fight. I mean, I have
You have
Warhead
been
higher.
driving the Warhead train since we started.
Yeah. It's
Are you
fun.
getting off of it?
No, I don't know. It's kind of Minotaur is a tough fight.
Yeah, they are.
Even
They
if
are.
you watch the, I looked up a little background about it a couple weeks ago, and when Minotaur was fighting in that final Robo Wars,
Mm-hmm.
the finale, it just tossed around the other person. There was like a wedge bot called Original Sin,
Sure.
and it just kept getting hit after hit, being knocked around, hit after hit after hit, and it is a absurdly strong bot.
So I got to disagree with you slightly here, though.
But
Minotaur is not a wedge bot, and it is
No,
not
that's not
going...
what I said.
No, I'm just saying you said that it was knocking around a wedge bot. And I'm saying
Yeah.
this is different because Minotaur is Minotaur.
I'm talking about Minotaur knocking around a wedge bot.
Oh, excuse me. Okay. Okay, well then fine.
Yeah.
Fine, yeah.
This is not scripted. But Warhead, on the other hand, with that amazing rotating hubcap of theirs, really got some awesome hits on complete control, and it's possible they could do that again.
I have a lot of mixed emotions because if Warhead just took this bracket, I mean, that'd be sick. Okay, that'd be awesome. But at the same time, Minotaur is
We'll
just
see.
built to be deadly.
Yeah,
you know,
it's-
you got the expert pilot and the expert build.
It's
and
intimidating
unlike
bot.
complete control, they've got the armor to back it up. I mean, I would argue they're almost too thick for Warhead to chew through. And that's something we're going to have to see if that can happen.
There's also the problem that I feel that Warhead is far too easy to knock itself around when it's not being knocked around by other bots.
You don't think it's just going to break dance around Minotaur? No?
If it's breakdancing and Minotaur isn't down for the count, Minotaur will swoop right in and keep knocking
I mean,
it
at this
around.
point, I think they should have their own offshoot. Like
we know
show
Minotaur
with-
is
with-
breakdancing.
Yeah, well, because we got Beta breakdancing. You can all the drum spinners. Yeah, and Warhead. I mean, obvious first runner for that one.
Yeah, obviously. But
Yeah.
Minotaur is such a quick bot too. It's just it kind of zips around, fucking your day up. But
Yeah.
I want Warhead to win, but I'm a little worried. I think that armor could get chewed up by Minotaur.
I don't
It
know.
already chewed up Blacksmith's armor.
I
That
gotta
was some
say-
heavy stuff.
I keep saying I want the bot that isn't Warhead to win, and that's nothing against Warhead. It's just because they keep going against bots I really
It's a bit
like.
of a reversal,
And yeah, and it's like, at what point do I hop on your train? But I'll tell you right now,
I'm
I
barely
don't,
holding on,
I don't
man.
think today is
Barely
this
holding
day. I don't. I don't think I'm gonna hop on your train today.
You wrote Minotaur?
I'm going for Minotaur on this one. I think this is gonna be quick. and
Crazy
this-
kids from Brazil.
Yeah, I mean they'll get a few good hits on it. Yeah, hopefully we'll see that again.
So fantastic. I love those guys.
Yeah.
I hope they lose.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, we'll see.
Yeah. Good luck, Warhead.
Anyways, the last one we have Red Devil versus Bombshell. We have Blood God himself coming up against Bombshell. Blood for the Blood God.
I kind of just
calling it right
pause
now.
every time Red Devil gets mentioned so you can do that.
It's like I have to do it. It's like I'm cursed. I have to spit it out. Like it's just Blood for the Blood God.
Yeah, it's a great bot.
It's a great bot and it's beautiful, by the way. I mean,
Oh yeah.
yeah. I got a
Super,
little bit of a crush, to be honest. But yeah.
It's it can move in so many ways. It can operate if it gets messed around a bit.
Sure.
It has a lot of different methods of function.
Well, so
You know what I
this
mean?
is on your point. This is very interesting because both these bots are modular, so they can pick different outfits to take.
Takes me forever to pick an outfit.
So you can tell it does not take me forever to pick an outfit.
No, it doesn't. Every time. He wears this every day.
But so Bombshell's got a few options for what they're bringing to the table, and Red
Yeah.
Devil's got the same. But I think
I don't think they're gonna pick the axe.
you don't think so.
No, I don't think the axe is strong enough. Like I mentioned last time, I'm reiterating. I don't mind.
Yeah, that's
The
fine.
axe isn't very powerful.
I agree.
I don't think it'll be good against
I
Red
agree.
Devil.
I think Red Devil has a little bit more exposed parts and complete control, so there's a little bit better chance. But I think the blade, spinning blade, or something closer to that has got to be better.
Yeah, and also the problem with Red Devil, one of its weaknesses is its functionality. It has a lot of moving parts that can be messed with.
Sure.
It's not a simple bot at all.
Yeah.
So if that spinner hits in the right spot and knocks something offline, obviously this will work on any bot, but I feel like Red Devil is kind of vulnerable to that.
We'll see. I know they have a few redundancies there to keep themselves from getting KO'd from maneuverability, but I mean, but so either way, no matter what these guys pick for strategies, I think it's really going to come down to is Bombshell is going for a more aggressive, take you down kind of approach, and Red Devil is going for a grapple then attack approach.
Yeah.
Right.
Get on right on in there.
Yeah. So I really think what we're going to see here is we're going to see a battle of maneuverability and seeing Red Devil trying. It's going to come down to can Red Devil get Bombshell in its clasp. And
I think we're going to see a KO.
you think so?
I think this one's going to be a KO.
I hope so because this would be an epic KO. Of all of them, I am.
We
praying for
love
KO.
that Witch Doctor KO.
Yeah, that was crazy. Oh man.
One of my favorites.
But yeah, this is. I think it's going to be really interesting, and I think what it's going to come down to is I think that eventually Red Devil is going to get the drop and catch Bombshell here. I think they'll both come
You'll
out
have to
aggressive.
get around that spinner.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
as we
But
mentioned, it kinda like hangs
the
out.
moment you do, it becomes a game of cat and mouse where Bombshell is trying to correct itself and fix the problem of Red Devil having its being at its bad weak
Yeah,
side.
and there's also how Red Devil can kind of operate if it lands the right way, upside down. It's able to maneuver itself back over.
Sure,
In a couple videos it does it, but I'm not sure if Bombshell can do that, especially since it's a spinner bot and it has that arm. A lot of spinner bots can do that, but I don't think Bombshell can.
I'm not sure actually. I would have to look up there. If they
I
can
could be
separate.
wrong.
I'm a little new to Bombshell actually, to be honest.
Yeah, I thought they were going to be out of the competition already.
Yeah.
No offense to them.
But
Just
if
I didn't know
Red
anything about
Devil-
the spinner.
If the Blood God is going to win, I think what it's going to take
he will,
is
but-
he's not going. He has to not only grapple Bombshell against something, it needs to be in midair so he can still move. So he gets that full 30 seconds.
Yeah,
of
and we know
attack.
Bombshell can be picked up because
Yeah.
complete control got him in that way.
Yeah,
That's
and
how he got that
I
KO.
think Bombshell is perfectly sized for the Blood God's mouth. I think that's fantastic.
Just gonna hold him up like on Titanic. And just,
But this is a hard one to pick with all the modular attachments they can pick from, and
yeah, I don't think they have any more heads, do they? Kind of a Ghost Raptor situation.
we'll find out. I don't know. I think they do. But either way, I'm rooting for Red Devil on this one.
Maybe
I
they
think they got
actually
the
have
slight
bombs.
advantage here. Yeah, that would be crazy. Imagine
Or a net.
imagine if they changed the
What
rules.
if they have a net?
Oh my god, I don't want to even talk about that.
A little shout out to Cece. But
Hey.
I hope Red Devil wins. I think they will win
I think so too. I
eventually. They'll get that
put my
KO.
faith in them. Yeah. But that's all the predictions we've got.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great episode. I'm very excited for this episode.
Yeah, I'm ecstatic waiting for
Yeah.
it. But in closing, I just wanted to say I wanted to thank Keegs for being here in person. You want to say a little spiel?
Oh yeah, I'm soon about to go off to California on the West Coast, and if you didn't know, we do this from Maine on the East Coast, so we have to figure something out with that. So I may or may not be able to come back in a 2-pack hologram sort of thing. No, I'm just kidding. We'll do something funky with the green screen if we make it work.
Yeah, we're gonna try to get him in on it, but
Yeah, because I like you guys. I like the show. I want to keep doing it, and
Yeah.
I will if I can.
sure.
So
Yeah. So and we're experimenting with how to best pull this all off ourselves. So, oh, I forgot to mention the bracket.
the
The
bracket.
bracket.
I didn't want to mention it.
Yeah. Okay.
You
Yeah.
had
And
a
that's
better
why.
week than I did.
Yeah. Well, not that it was a good week, but
No, you just managed to rack up a few more wins.
I am now tied in first with the one other guy that stubbornly refuses to be shaken at 27 wins.
He had Ghost Raptor at number 1.
Yeah. But he had some good other calls. But
Yeah.
then where are you? 20?
I'm like 3 matches down.
Yeah. There's a ton of
I think
other
it's 26
people
to 23
right there.
for you guys.
27. 27.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
right.
looking to keep that trophy. I'm looking to keep the nut, but we'll see.
I want that nut.
If he wins it, I'll have to ship it to him. But yeah.
Yeah, I'll just send you pictures with it, some Snapchats every now and then.
Yeah. Well, anyways, we're still gonna be doing the show. It'll only be me here in person. We'll see if we can.
Yeah, we might have to take
I know
a week
you'll be
off.
flying next week. Well, I'll still be doing it.
Oh, yeah, he'll be doing
I don't know if
I'll be
Keegs
flying
will be there next
on the
week.
day we usually shoot, so
Yeah.
I prefer not to do it that night.
Yeah.
I don't think it would work out very easily because
it's okay.
with
I
the 3-hour
understand.
difference,
Yeah.
it'll be 1:30. I'll just got off my plane, so.
Sure, and I might experiment with bringing another co-host, see how that
Ooh.
goes.
Send applications to
Yeah. We'll see. But either way,
BattleBots.
thanks for watching. And looking forward to this episode.
Yeah, it's going to be a great episode.
That's
hope you all
robot
enjoy it
talking
too.
time. Yeah.
That outro was kind of funky.
Yeah, it was.